Oh,
Y'all, welcome back to another episode of Herbal Tea Thursday. It's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Joe Money, host of the Empire Plates, Empire Lives podcast with my girl.
Shireen. What's up, everyone? Shireen Simon, founder of Perspective Studio Productions. Tired, but happy.
All right, y'all. So this is our Wellness Live series. So it's time for us to not only check in with each other, but also check in with y'all and see how the wellness vibes are vibing. Y'all, so Shireen, you got a check in ready?
Oh, girl, no. We just got on here. It's not going to
So-
be ready yet.
Okay, so y'all, while Shireen is getting our check-in card going, I am sipping on, because it's Herbal Tea Thursday. I went with the nettle.
Yes.
Because the allergies, the pollen, the weather change, the rain, all of that's been going. So I went with the nettle tea for today.
You have allergies, Giovanni?
And I definitely can. Can you see it? Hold on. Here we go.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, you can get my Empire Plates, Empire Lives podcast mug from 4vibrations.com.
Wait, look back up here because your camera went dark.
It's going to come back, I think.
Yeah.
Because I got it all zoomed in on the mug. So hopefully it'll come back.
Here,
See,
come back.
I think I'm coming back.
Bringing you back.
I think I'm coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Back. I'm coming back, y'all. Am I back?
Am
I back?
Right? Yes, you're back.
I'm sipping on the nettle tea for tonight. But yes, Shireen, allergies can be a thing for me. I can be triggered by the different pollens that's outside.
Mm-hmm.
Which it kind of sucks because I know we're going to get into it a little later, but we're talking wellness. Shireen's almost done shuffling and shaking to get us checked in. But y'all, when it was the temperature being too cold, and now it's like the rain, and the rain washes all the different pollen and stuff out there, and it's just Spencer and I, neither of us do well with allergies, and that takes some of the fun out of being outside and getting our walks on. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to it. Definitely before the heat gets too hot in the summer, when you really got to get up early to get it in and out before that sun just starts beating you down. But yes, ma'am, I do. Do you struggle with allergic reaction or allergic environment? Okay.
No, I don't have allergies. Just like, just my son has allergies in our house. I don't have allergies though. But before we continue, I will say what I'm sipping on.
Okay.
I am sipping on two things. I was gonna take a sip of kombucha, which is black raspberry or cherry raspberry, or one of them raspberries, one of them berries. And this has been very intentional because I am paying attention to my prebiotics and my probiotics. And so I'm getting this in because my prebiotics are feeding my probiotics. And I will make my own, not kimchi, I will make my own sauerkraut out of cabbage, which is like very easy. It's just like you're taking your sauerkraut, you're cutting it up thinly, and then you can like smush it up with your hand and it creates its own, I think they call it brine, which is like the liquid. But I'm going to add a couple of other things to it. You can like add grated carrots. So I'll do that. And then you kind of squeeze it up and then push it down in like a mason jar and then put it in a cool space. So I'll put it in like my cupboard for about 2 weeks and it will create its own brine. And that will be my own sauerkraut. You can buy it. And I went to go buy it, but I have a whole cabbage. And it's funny because a long time ago when I was
telling us what you munching on and what you sipping on?
Oh, sorry. Anyhow. Well, I was trying to explain this. You're right. But yeah, I'll come back to it. Girl.
Because I was like, what I'm munching on? Is that next? What's up, All-Shoe? What you sipping on? We talking about what we sipping on for Herbal Tea Thursday.
What's probiotics up? And my coconut water. If I really get thirsty again, some water. Okay, so I pulled
You
that
got
card.
options over there for the turn up. Let us know,
I
Ashu.
was drinking
Anybody
some
that's catching the
mango tea.
replay or join us, let us know what you sipping on for Herbal Tea Thursday. Go ahead.
All right, so today is a special day. Why? Because I said so. And we're live. So when I was shuffling, it didn't feel done. It didn't feel done. We had a couple pop out. It didn't feel done. By the way, I just looked at my neck. It looks a little smaller.
Ooh, we'll get into that. Come on.
Okay,
Is that a win already?
So
Okay,
our first one is doesn't matter if you can't see, I'll just read it. Give yourself a hug. You deserve it. That popped out. So I definitely think we should handle that. Give yourself a hug. You deserve it. So do that maintenant right now. Giovanni, where's you? You're not hugging yourself,
Coming.
Honey.
Almost there. I was typing it in
Girl,
the chat.
You can type it after you hug yourself. Hug yourself. Hug yourself. Hug yourself. All right. This one you can do a little bit later. Y'all
drop hug in the comments to let us know that you hug.
Okay, my funny girl. Never funny. Okay, play a song that makes you smile. Later on, not now. Not now. We want to get through this. Not now. All right, you ready for the next one? Hold on. Yeah, we had that one before, so I'm going to stop it at our third one. And this is the one that we will respond to.
Okay.
Getting us a little woosah.
Oh, take a sip of it.
Ready? What advice would you give your future self? What advice would you give your future self? Okay, you think, I'll type. What advice? Oh, where's the thing to type? Here it is. What advice would you give your future self? Right? That's our check-in question. Okay. Giovanni, you got your answer?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The mission is bigger than the dream. Keep going.
The mission is bigger than the dream. I like it. And keep going. Yeah.
What you got?
For me, do not get distracted with what other people are doing. Do not get distracted with what other people are doing. Focus on yourself. In other words, mind your business and mind your business. But I do want to say it this way. Do not get distracted with what other people are doing. Just focus, tunnel vision. Focus on yourself. That's it.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, make sure you respond. What advice would you give your future self? Something that came to mind just now. Like, you know how, I forgot, it's like so many different other channels, people, things that people do, and then they're talking, and people like, yeah, ooh, like my students do that all the time. But I've seen it on certain like podcast clips and stuff, like people put it out, and that's how they respond. And so I felt like when we were saying certain things, it was like, ooh, that's a good one. And we should drop sip in the comments when somebody just hit like a bar or a gym. You know, like people be like, put some fire in the chat. It was like, nah, drop sip since it's Herbal Tea Thursday. Sip on that. Yeah, sip on that. I like it. But y'all, please make sure that, what is that, the Vita Cocoa?
Mm-hmm.
That is so disgusting.
Okay, don't do that. We're live. Don't do that. This is the drink I have. That could be your decision. Don't do that. I'm drinking this.
I mean, but we can ask. What some people can be coconut water people.
It's not about asking. It's your responsible. That's so disgusting. That is your opinion. That is.
It is.
I'm enjoying my drink. I don't need you hating on my drink.
I think that you should, and I'm proud of you getting in your electrolytes.
I don't care about your proudness. Don't do that. Don't be hating on my drink. I'm enjoying my drink.
Not hating at all.
I'm enjoying. Yes, you were. On my drink.
I just talked about my palate. It is definitely
not
for me. It was my first one to try, and it was not good.
I'm drinking
So
what I
y'all make sure you
have.
subscribe to all profiles in the show notes. Make sure you
Hmm.
connect with us on all your favorite social media platforms. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell for us so you never miss a episode or a live or a video or anything. So make sure y'all get it in.
Hmm.
All right, Wellness Win, Shereen, go ahead.
Today, I got the opportunity. Hold on, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Actually, I have two. Oh, I have three. But I think we're going to talk about some in in today's discussion. So I'll give you today's. Today, I got an opportunity to be a shark in Shark Tank at a high school for grade 11 students that are in a dual program where they get a credit for high school and a credit for college because it's a program paired with the college. I got invited by one of the professors, and I had met two professors just like weeks ago. And the other professor is a sister, and she sat on the panel as well. She was a shark, and the other one is who invited us. And then there was an insurance guy, and I listened to the grade 11s. There was about four groups. They're in a business entrepreneur class, and they were pitching their ideas and asking for money, and I was one of the sharks. So it was very cool. It was very cool. I brought my notepad wherever it is. I brought my notepad with me. It was first thing in the morning. I had to get to school on time. So I was early, sitting in the parking lot, waiting to go in. And then just listening to them, seeing their decks. Um, I've pitched before, but like watching them, they were all nervous, and they had great ideas and they had to think through different questions. I thought they were working off a template, but we found out afterwards that they weren't, and they had they had thought it out. They had thought it out, so it was good. And then at the very end, we had to like break away and say who we would invest in. No real money was being exchanged, but they're paired with a charity, and the charity is going to give each of them not cash but like money to go towards their business. Excuse me. So in June they will have a market day and they will get to execute their business. And so meeting with us today was so that they can get feedback on how they could change their pitch prior to the market day, so how they could be successful. Apparently it never used to be that way. They used to do the program and then have the sharks come in, but this way they can prepare for Thursday. So it felt really good to just give back and one, hear all of their little minds, but also give back to the community that way. And yeah, just be a shark. Shouldn't be a shark and listen to the businesses. So that was kind of cool because this is what we talk about all the time. So it was cool. Yeah.
Very much so. It's ironic because our economics teacher, his project this semester was Shark Tank. And so they
Oh.
did that at my high school as well too. I don't know how in depth the program is or the
Mhm.
project is because it's a project based learning school. So I think that's pretty cool. But then also in one of the English classes, they had a marketing project. And so they also had to like figure out marketing plans and be able to pitch. And people came in to have to hear them as well. So I loved it. So what would you say was like your biggest, I guess, takeaway or advice that you would give those students about pitching, seeing as though you said you do it all the time? It wasn't your first time, but it was their first time pitching.
So two of them had similar, like they were competitors in
Mm-hmm.
the same space. And then the third one had something quite just a little different. Like they had snacks, like two of them had like freezies, and then the second one had like freezies and popsicles, and then the third one had just like snacks. Um, but then they mentioned freezies, and I was like, just be different. You see the competition already. The snacks is a great one. It's like grab and go. You don't need a freezer. You don't need none of those things. So the three sharks like aligned on differentiating yourself from other businesses. But I actually found that um, two or three of them, they could have actually got together, like the two freezy ones, the freezy and the popsicle ones, they actually could have got together and expanded. And one, but I found that the snacks one had, they were really good with their research. All of them were really good with their numbers. They all had projections, except for the girls. The girls forgot to write down the costs, and it was a question that the insurance guy asked right out the bat. So that's probably why that's kind of why we concluded that they didn't win. Like we wouldn't invest in them because we didn't understand their numbers. Like we didn't know the cost, so we couldn't understand the profit margins. But the guys, all three groups, they all had their profit margins. But just be different. Like find out how you stand out, and it could be the littlest thing. And we did end up going with the snack one because it was grab and go. The girls had like tattoos, and I was like, well, who has the tattoo on? 'Cause I'm tatted, and they talked about tattoo as like temporary tattoos for like self-expression. And I'm all about it, right? So I was like, well, where are the tattoos at? And who has a tattoo? And nobody had. And I was like, but you got to be wearing your product. Like I get it. And I like the idea of having a temporary solution for self-expression, because who you are at 19 is not necessarily who you are at 25, right? So the temporary tattoos made sense, but also one of the other sharks was like, do something with like an experience on market day, right? But the snack guys, they were individual snacks, grab and go, grab and go, grab and go. Much better.
Got it. So your advice would be just be different. Don't forget your numbers, because that matters when people are making a decision. Rep or wear your product, and always have a temporary solution on hand. So I like that. I like that.
No. That temporary one didn't go across. No. Just the temporary one does not span across. The last one I said was the temporary one was very specific to.
Oh, just to one group, not necessarily the group
not
that
across
I
the board.
about that.
Yeah, not across the board. Yeah, not across the board.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. So I think that's pretty dope.
The experience would have been the across the board.
Experience. Right? Okay. Experience. Okay, bringing the experience into it. I think that's really good to mention too, because I remember when my students were doing a project and they were presenting to the community as well, different stakeholders, and they brought like Smarties, the candy, and they were talking about fentanyl awareness. And so it was good to have a prop to be able to like get your all your senses kind of engaged with what you're talking about, instead of it just being like two-dimensional or one-dimensional type of experience when making that pitch. So I think that's good. So I love that for you. That was an amazing win for your community, for you, for putting yourself out there, for you to be able to see where kids are. Even, I know you said small minds, but just seeing how they are thinking already at just the 11th grade, and how they could really, and I think a lot of them, Shireen, are already in a space of wanting to have their own. And so being able to have these real life, real world projects, scenarios, community members coming in, stakeholders being there, it allows them to truly prepare for real world experiences and skill sets, because some of them already got jobs and already kind of hustling and doing their own thing. So I love that win for you.
The objective of that class too was to show that you don't have to go to college and university, even though you get a credit for both the college and for high school.
Yeah,
but if you are considering entrepreneurship, just know that there's a different path and you might think differently. But I'm at a point of talking about how I've been in corporate for 20 years prior to. So there's a lot of transitional skills. I didn't go to school or anything like that, but there's a lot of transitional skills in that sense. But it was the other professor that was a shark made a point of saying she has college students and their presentations don't look as great as this, as great as the ones that were there, which it was interesting to see where they are with presentations. Like it kind of made me want to like, can I get in this class and teach a presentation class, right? Like
really good at these.
How do I help with some of the things here, right? So Yeah, but it was pretty cool. And then just
Anybody
seeing,
looking for an internship?
no, but also just seeing their confidence level. And that is one thing that the teacher was talking about, was like a next thing that they were going to be doing, is like teaching some confidence, but the confidence for them to even speak in front of the strangers and be a little nervous and everything. But they still had the confidence to get through their presentation. So I thought that part was just awesome, just to see that, right? And everybody spoke. Yeah, even if they were a little timid, everybody spoke. Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see that, because I have kids, but I don't see that, right? Yeah. So it's cool. It was cool. Yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna
Yourself.
say my wellness win. I'm gonna say the wellness win for the week. My students finished their wellness surveys. And I thought that was pretty fantastic. They really created their own questions in regards to their own emotional health issue or topic they chose as a small group. And we will launch a wellness market next week at school. So I think it's going to be really cool to see them educate their peers, show their peers what the survey results are actually saying amongst their peers of what's actually happening in the real world society. And then seeing their activities in ways that they either raise awareness or engage and interact with teaching coping skills and mechanisms to help people if they know someone or if themselves have been affected by the emotional health issues. And so like they're getting excited about it, but just seeing them be very intentional about others and not just themselves, it just makes me kind of happy. So that is definitely one wellness win for me for this week.
Your class is so impressive. Like they go so deep. Like they do, like even that other project I did, but even this, like they go so deep, and it shows like they are in a different space than some other people are, to even be able to think about these things and either be like considerate about these things, but they do need to consider these things because they impact them, but they also impact their peers. So that there's like a sadness to it, because it's like you shouldn't have to think about these things at this age, but there's an impressiveness to it, because it's almost like growing up too fast, right? So that's like the sad part of it, but the impressive part of it is like you're going to be such a better human because you can think like this and think about other people beyond yourself. So as you grow, you're just going to be so impressive, and open-minded to different things, right? So yeah, every time you talk about your class, I'm just so impressed. Yeah,
Thank
I love it.
I appreciate that. So, y'all, we talking about, do entrepreneurs lack boundaries, y'all? That is what we talking about today. And as you know already, and if it's your first live, me and Shireen are definitely opposites. Personalities not the same, nowhere near it. And so we're gonna get into this thing. So, do entrepreneurs lack boundaries? Do
But
you
why
lack boundaries?
the pre
Because they already know we're different. If they
okay,
don't, I just want to welcome the people who this might be their first live
okay.
joining us. If you don't know, just be ready, because it's two perspectives, two
Oh, I
different
mean,
personalities, and we're about to tell you about our life, but we also want you to share and engage with us too in the comments. And don't forget, y'all, if you did not, we want to hear your wellness wins too. So if you're catching the replay, drop it in the comments. If you're watching live right now, we want to know your wellness win. It could be this today, it could have been this past week, it could be this month. But hit us with your wellness win. You deserve to celebrate and acknowledge where you are winning in this thing called life. All right.
and if you
So
see me looking this way, it's because you're on my TV and the comments are over there and my camera is over here.
Gotcha. Well, you didn't miss much of anything. Our shoot did the hug for the check-in and said it was right on time. Crystal with the K said it was right on time. So thank you. Glad it was. You know, Shireen gets her shuffle on to make sure we get the right cards in.
We needed more than one today
with us. So, do entrepreneurs lack boundaries? First, I'm gonna say, do people even know the importance of boundaries? Have they been taught boundaries? What does it look like in their life? Do they prioritize boundaries? Do they value boundaries? Like, that's a big thing for me. I feel like I didn't grow up with boundaries. I didn't grow up with like
Give
learning
some
the
examples.
importance of boundaries.
Give
Like
some examples. Give some examples. I'm just gonna move the TV.
examples of not growing up with boundaries. Not really being able to say how you feel, even if it was in a respectful way. If you wanted to say no, or if it wasn't something that I wanted to do, I couldn't just say I don't want to do it, and that just be what it is. And if
It
you
sounds like
weren't
every Black
interested in
household.
doing, if you're not one, I'm just saying, if
Mhm.
it was like, what's another thing? If it was just too much and you want to say, you know what, this is just too much, or you done enough and you felt like you reached your capacity, then it's like making you feel bad about not continuing to do whatever somebody else wanted you to do. So then it was
Mhm.
that whole what do you call it now, like when you're trying to people please, then it moved into people pleasing. So when you don't get to have boundaries, understand what boundaries are, and it's always you just have to do what's told or what people want you to do, then it rolls into people pleasing. I think I wasn't aware that I lacked boundaries until my life just got very unhealthy and toxic. And then at that time, it was just like, okay, let's take a step back, Giovanni, and let's just really figure out what is really going on, you know, from family to friends. And I just feel like when it comes to boundaries, it's different for different people. And I think it's still your responsibility. I do agree that it's still your responsibility, but I just don't feel like I don't know. I read a book and I realized as I was reading the book, and I read it with one of my sorority sisters, one of my line sisters, and we just were able to pinpoint things from our childhood that aligned, that came up in the book, and why we are the way we are, or how we think the way we think, or act or react to certain things. And so it just started showing me that that's where it stemmed from as I kind of learned a little bit more about it. And I just read the book like maybe 4 years ago, maybe about 4 years ago.
Mhm.
So it's kind of still fresh. But do you feel like you were raised with great
Yeah, I
boundaries?
think that what you're I don't so I feel like the word boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
um, in the context that we're about to talk about, has become more of a thing in the last few years in my adult life my
Mm.
adult life. And I feel like especially with social media, um, defining what a boundary is as an adult, defining what a boundary is as a young person is now very common. And understanding what your personal boundary is, or having boundaries for other people, even people pleasing. And I actually just watched something um, like earlier today that talked about, what was the other word? Imposter syndrome. Like there's a lot of these keywords that we wouldn't have heard a long time ago, especially growing up. At least I can say not myself, especially, but I feel like social media has socialized and normalized the words, the definitions, um, and whether we take on something and say that, oh, I have imposter syndrome and all this stuff, right? So now we embody some of these things. Um, I
So
was
what is a boundary to you?
But well, I'm not there yet. Let me just finish with
Oh,
my response. And my thing is, as a child, I grew up also like I feel like a lot of the things you said is relatable in the Black household, and I can't speak to all Black households, but like in the Caribbean household, it's the same thing. We grew up with do as I told, do what you're told, and like or do as you're told, or do what I say and not as I do, and speak when spoken to, or children are seen and not heard. So the parent is kind of always right. Like you don't question the parent. Those things is like that's how we were raised, and all of that we can dot line to like enslavement, right? So that's where it's culturally ingrained in us as a community, right? And again, not everybody can say they experience that, but a lot of us have that relation. Like that, it is what it is, and that's where it's coming from. Because that's what they heard from their grandparents and their grandparents, and that's what we heard as we grew up. And then at some point, it changed with somebody, right? So they breaking generational curses, all of that great stuff there. And then with social media, normalizing things. But I think that in this conversation, and so yes, the whole point of talking about how we were raised is so we can just understand the root to the cause, right? Like this is the root cause of this, and this is how come we do this or we enable this. But I think some boundaries, um, is, as you and I were talking yesterday, preparing for this, is like consideration, right? I think some of it is just like basic consideration for another person. And I can relate, I can resonate with the people pleasing, all everything you said, I can resonate with, in the sense of I would go to parties and stuff like that. I'm not a big party person, not like I don't enjoy a good fete or whatever, but I'd be going because, the friends or the family are going, and I'd be there being like, oh, why am I here? Like, you know what I mean? So that's the people pleasing or whatever, right? Now I don't even care what I miss, what I don't miss. I don't feel like I missed out. I just do whatever I want to do because I'm grown, right? And now I see those things also in my kids. But I think that when we talk, wherever we go with this conversation, I know some of the things that I'm going to mention from an entrepreneur standpoint. I believe some of it comes down to consideration. And there is right and wrong, sure. But then there is also consideration to things, right? And consideration can be where a boundary starts. And I guess it just depends on if we're talking what kind of boundaries we're talking about. Because if we're talking about time boundaries, like the time of day or night that you talk to somebody, that you reach out to somebody. I know that when I worked in corporate, people will put in their email like little phrases that say, just because I send a message at a certain time, don't feel obligated to respond at that time, because they might be working late hours, but they're not expecting their employees to respond at late hours. But who knows how that employee receives a certain message? And I know some entrepreneurs today, and I've even been in some spaces where they talk about, well, they might prep their emails on like Sunday and send it on a timer on Monday morning, right? So they'll draft them all
Yeah,
up.
I've done that before too. Schedule it
Mm-hmm.
because it's in the moment right now, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, and I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and schedule this for tomorrow, certain
Yeah.
time. So that makes sense.
Yeah. But I also think the boundary for ourselves is like, if I receive an email, I don't care if you send me an email Saturday at 9 p.m. because I'm not expecting me to respond, but I don't know what your expectation is. Right. But sometimes the behavior that comes after that, it's your prerogative to send your emails whenever you send them. I might read them, but I don't feel obligated personally to respond when on a weekend, if it's my day off. But my day off actually doesn't happen on a weekend, or if it's after a certain time, I don't feel obligated to respond, and I don't feel obligated to respond first thing on Monday morning either. Right? Yeah, but I'm a different cat, so what you want to
Okay.
say? Hmm.
So my question was, so what is a boundary? Because you kind of hit on different things, like what exactly is the boundary, then the consideration and the 2 points of right or wrong things,
But I
and then
don't. But I think it's
so I just
relative to
because I
whatever
know
example. Go ahead.
it's relative to the example. I know, but when I was talking about you kind of brought in when I was talking about my thinking about, like you said, root cause and going back into, okay, as an adult, what does having
Yeah, but
boundaries
I
look
gave
like?
my
What is
example.
boundaries?
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I know.
So okay. Sorry.
And so when I was telling you about it, you was like, well, I think that's kind of like just how you being brought up, how you're raised. It doesn't necessarily mean that it matriculates into the sense of boundaries. And so then I was asking you, like, so what is a boundary, or
I
what are
mean, I
boundaries?
would just probably look up what the definition of boundary is to give you a Cole's definition of boundary. But I think that you have to understand what, like, to me, do you need me to really tell you what boundary is?
No, but you also mentioned
Okay.
like I don't have the obligation. And so I guess in the sense of the conversation, because you also said there's different forms of boundaries, and we're talking about, do
Yeah.
entrepreneurs lack boundaries? What boundaries are those that entrepreneurs should have? And so we brought up the example of
Well, I said
communication.
time.
So
Well,
yeah,
time. I feel like
time.
time is a good example. I feel like um, time can be in different things. Time can be whether it's an expectation of the time that you reach out to somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're reaching out now, a few years ago, I was doing an event and I was receiving messages at all hours of the night. And I loved it. I was like, this is um, very cool that entrepreneurs are working all hours of the night, right? Because 9 to 5 would never. But that mindset of like the coolness of it, that's over. Like that has expired because you can send me a message, but if you send me a message at 2 a.m., believe me, I am not responding. Um, I feel like it's a little inconsiderate to send a message at that time. I mean, who knows if my phone is on do not disturb, but if it's not and my volume is up, it's not because I conduct my phone however I choose to. I do not want to be receiving a ping at 2 a.m. in the morning. So I feel like there's a lack of maybe how you should be communicating with me. Send that by email because maybe you shouldn't have so much access to me because then there's a lack of boundaries of how you should be communicating to me and when you should be communicating to me, right? If you're sending me messages on a Saturday night, I don't care. Send them through email. I don't care, right? I'm resting. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. It doesn't even matter what I'm doing. It does not matter. But then if you feel like I did not respond to you on a Monday, right? Heavy on the access. Yeah. So I don't think that access should be available, right? And I know like I've been having conversations this week with other entrepreneurs about the time where maybe one of their clients want to get them on the phone. But why? Send a text. My voicemail says, do not leave a voicemail. Send me an email or a text. I'm not available. To the point where even one time my daughter was messaging me and she's an entrepreneur too. And she was calling me down, but I'm on a job and I'm working. So my phone's on do not disturb. And when I finally look at it, why are you not um, responding? And I was thinking, where's this entitlement coming from? Unless this is an emergency, which it's not, because you're reaching out to me for somebody else. Send them my email or my text or my number to text me, right? Give them my number. They'll hear on the voice message to text. So and then I had to say, I'm working. So just because you cannot reach me does not mean I'm ignoring you. Does not like I could be working. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. And if you don't hear from me in 1 or 2 days, I'll get to you when I get to you. And I have this mindset because when I worked in a corporate environment, there's that boundary 9 to 5 to a degree. The higher up in management you are, you're working longer hours than 9 to 5. That's what you're getting paid for. That's a part of the job. That's the role. But if I don't get back to you on a Saturday, like there's no expectation for a Saturday. Banks are closed after a certain time. If the banker doesn't get back to you, guess what we do? We wait because they have set up that boundary with their hours of operation. Right? So I feel like maybe we don't work in the same construct, but then do we have unrealistic expectations and entitlement and access to other entrepreneurs within a certain construct? Because now we each have our own construct, but yet when people don't meet our expectation, don't put an expectation on me, that's going to be your biggest disappointment, right? In that sense that you expect me to operate in the same space that you're operating in.
Gotcha.
And
So
and the
I
same goes for me. I shouldn't have the same thing. Sorry. Same like vice versa. Right? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're fine. I think oh shoot,
Yeah, I like what Shoot just said,
more
the
fine
one
with
right
the
after that
scheduling
one.
of the emails and texts. So I thought that was really good. And then the
As an
boundaries. As an adult, you can set your own line of rules and limits. And I think when it
absolutely.
comes to that, it's navigating and understanding that those things are needed, because
Mm-hmm.
not everybody knows they're needed until someone crosses it. And so a lot of times things are not proactive, but they're reactive, as you go through and you're learning different things. So go ahead.
I just disagree there. Like, sure, maybe not everybody knows. Okay. But do you want me to have that expectation on you? Oh la la. Do you want
And
me?
I don't know if it's an expectation. It's just, again, I feel like sometimes when you're setting rules and you're setting limits, it's through experience, whether previous experience or the experience
Mm,
you're going through right now. It's
true.
like, okay, this ain't gonna happen, so now let me set that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about entrepreneurs, you have entrepreneurs that may or may not have worked in corporate to be able to translate what's what do you call it? What is, I don't want to say protocol, policies, what's likely, what the we're using the word expectations. So what the expectations are on how you conduct yourself with this company versus your own personal company. And you said it, like, it's your business, it's your brand, how people show up, what they allow to be the expectation, what their culture is within their own brand is on them. And
Mm,
so you do have to know those things, but at the same time, if you don't have those things already established, it kind of comes with the process of going through the journey. So I like that y'all also talked about access. And it's like, what does that access look like? Like, does people have your phone number? Is it like what people say, Voxer, Telegram? Is it just contact me by email? Is it heavy on just when you do want to talk to me, you need to hit my scheduling line. You need to be on my calendar,
with my
and that's when I
calendar.
talk to you only, and not that you have free range to my email. Or for another way, is it in the DMs? You know, so many people talk about engaging in on social media in the DMs, keeping conversations going,
Yeah.
nurturing. There's so many different places, access points. I'll use the word. There's so many different access points that entrepreneurs can communicate through, whether it's people that they're collaborating with, networking with, or people that are potential clients or in their target audience. So it's like, it's really heavy on the how do you figure these things out, and things meaning the
The boundaries. Yeah.
line of rules and
Yeah.
limits to put on yourself, so that way you maintain a good sense of well-being, a good space of, I'm taking care of myself right now. I'm prioritizing my family right now. I'm not feeling the need to respond here, respond there, or do this or do that, or check in because we got 20 messages that haven't been read, and you don't want to get 50 messages in. So you're like, okay, let me just try to find a moment to respond. I feel like to those entrepreneurs who don't have it set already, and you might find yourself in certain situations or experiences when you're like, okay, do I like this or do I don't like this? If my business was to scale, or it be
I was
10
just
times
gonna go there. I was
the
waiting to
amount
jump
of
in to
what
go
I'm
there.
having right now, can I handle this level of access? Like All Shoot said, this level of access, or this lack of rules and limits, because you're just so excited about getting interaction in regards
I
to your
think
business.
that you need to I think that you need to future proof your business, right? I have been going to some
Mhm.
small business things for like for grants and stuff like that, and they talk about having that second number. They talk about how you future proof your business. You should not have your personal number. They should not those things. That's why these apps like ManyChat has come up. So you're not communicating in the DM in that sense, right? Talk this way, get in a funnel, and then speak to me so it's efficient, right? So that you can scale. Sure, you might start that way, but then that tells me your business is probably small because and you haven't, maybe you're not doing all the other things as yet. Maybe you don't have a family as yet. Maybe you don't mind managing this way, but you know what? If your business needs you to be hands on, if something happens to you, you can't even do it that way because you did not set up your business to run like, and that's why they say a full well-oiled engine. You didn't set up your business to run like a well-oiled engine. You didn't future proof your business, right? So yeah, you go through the experience and then you realize, this is not going to work. How do I fix this? How do I iron this out? Because that's not how you are always thinking about scaling. You, if you haven't hit certain dollar amounts, when you're thinking about, as somebody would say, this arbitrary dollar amounts, then you don't have time for DMs. You don't. You're busy. You don't have time when you're traveling because your business is running. You don't have time to be texting people back. First of all, how many people should have that phone number? Not too many. Right now, too many people have my phone number. I know this. I actually have two numbers, and the second number doesn't always work. And me and one of the mentors, like I think last week or the week before, was really talking about time to get a new number. It's time. The second number that I got, like the second ring on the phone, doesn't always work properly. It's time to get a second phone. It's time to set up those boundaries to future proof you so you don't get overwhelmed. Because then we're going to be having the conversation about burnout, right? DMs is not, that's not where it's at. Do those automatic, that's where automation is for. That's why all these tech companies are coming up with these solutions, because somebody realized these things don't work. So whether or not we decide to implement them or not, that's our choice. That's our choice. But when you get to a certain part, you don't have time for that. Either you're delegating, and that's not the most efficient way for an employee or a student or an intern or a volunteer to be using their time. That's not the way, that's not how a business runs, right? When you look at big corporations, they might have, if they have somebody responding in DMs, guess what? They probably have a whole call center. And that one person that's working with you, or that two, as the conversations we have with our audiences are smaller businesses at today, right? So we talk about future proofing and we talk about wellness. Well, I think it's a conflict of interest. And that's what I put in the description today. Like we put in the description today is like, it's a conflict of interest when we talk all this wellness and mental health. And then we have a lack of boundaries. And I don't want to even say lack of boundaries, because some of it's just a consideration of somebody else, right? Whether or not we were raised that way or not, how is this going to be? And if so, you're going to send the message. Remove the expectation. But you know what? Let me give you somewhere else to send that message, because the access needs to change. Yeah.
I like it. I like that you talked about future proofing. And I don't think a lot of people think about future proofing their business. And that's what, when I was talking about like scaling and when it gets more, that's what my intern was like helping me. That's what we were talking about with thinking about, okay, so how you run it now, once you start scaling and you get more people to interact and engage, like you got to start with the scheduling, with the automations, like you talked about with the certain systems. But so many people, entrepreneurs right now that's in that beginner stage, and I'm just going to tell y'all to give yourself grace. They're not thinking about future proof. They're just right now with the hype of getting things started because it's at a startup place. But I love that we're talking about, even though you're in the present moment, knowing that your business, you want your business to still be in existence in the future. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't make it too much longer into their future. You have a lot of people that quit or pivot and go different ways. But I love that talk about future proof. And I think that could be definitely another episode that we talk about the different components that you need to consider when future proofing your business. But I also like that you brought up the term burnout. You can definitely get burnt out doing too many things too soon by not having boundaries. And boundaries is what we were really focusing on today. But I also think when you're thinking about boundaries, you also think about balance. And that's something else. Like you could be go, 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 go. And I know we've talked about this several times, and both of us have been in a space where we weren't finding that balance. And it was hard for us to kind of find that balance. But then like just the other day, or no, yesterday before we was planning this, you were like, Giovanni, I done got about 5 days worth of sleep. Like I've been resting and it's felt so good. And I've been taking care of myself and I've been juicing.
And now I'm getting phone calls.
Exactly. And now you're like, here we go again. But with the boundaries come balance if you want to prevent the burnout. And so I think there's a lot of different ways that we can look at this. And there you go. Oh, shoot.
Go up to Shoot's message 2 before the 24-hour one. No, the one.
I had it on there when you were talking. I put it up there. Yep. So 24 hours in a day, not responding at 2 a.m. versus 8 a.m.
And this one's funny because not responding at 2 a.m. Yeah. What if you're not even available? First of all, 8 a.m. Hell to the no, right? Like, what if I'm not even available at 9 a.m.? What if I'm not available until 2? What if my Monday or my Tuesday or whatever day that message came in, I already have a full calendar full of things. So guess what? What if I'm time blocking, right? What if I'm time blocking and I get to my administrative work on, maybe I might scan it, but I'm going to respond to the urgent, unless it's urgent, I'm going to respond to the things on Wednesday at 2. And I'm not saying I can't do it any other time, but what if I'm time blocking and I have administrative tasks, but 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., I am busy. Or me, Mondays is actually my day off. Where people have Saturday and Sunday, I don't have Saturday and Sunday. I'm booked. I'm booked. So I'm like a salon. On Mondays, whoo, child, leave me alone. Right? But people are up and running. Or this was a long weekend we just came off of. So you either work like crazy hard before the long weekend to prepare for the long weekend for the work that you're not going to do on the Friday and the Monday, or you take only one day, right? And then as an entrepreneur, maybe you work, because I have entrepreneur friends that say you don't rest on long weekends. This is where you get the work done. But like me, I took the time, which I never get enough sleep. So I took the time to sleep. I slept, girl. I slept. I slept. I woke up. I scrolled. I slept. I watched a
I
movie. I
just want.
slept.
I think it goes back to what all Shoot said earlier to what your friends say. And it's, as an adult, you set your own lines.
One
Your
thousand
rules
percent.
and limit. So even if you think because it's a long weekend and as an entrepreneur I should be working, maybe my extra long weekend is for me to take an extra long break.
Maybe
And
this long weekend is for that. Yeah.
that's just what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
then you also said structure is important for any business. Cause I know we went up one. But for me, something that came to mind, and it went back to what I was telling you before in regards to like the childhood, like seeing that as like the root, like taking it back when I was reading the book. It's because it's a top priority to you doesn't, or emergency to you doesn't make it an emergency or a top priority for me. And that's one of the ways that I've had to have to shift and think about that, because I struggled with prioritizing myself because I was always made to believe I needed to prioritize what other people needed me to do or respond or show up for. And it was that before it was like, okay, well, I need to take care of me. What is it that I really want for myself? And it's like, as an adult, almost 40, it's like thinking, well, what is it that I want? Because you're so accustomed to hearing what other people want for you or what you should do. It was like to a point where it's like, well, I don't even really know. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think for those people who never prioritize themselves and always prioritize maybe their family or what other people thought, it's harder for them to really figure some things out for themselves and just stand on that. But as an entrepreneur, it's your time to rise. Like, you have a vision, you have a mission. So what you say you want to go, you need the wellness, you need the well-being. So you're going to need the boundaries, you're going to need the balance, and you want to make sure you reduce the burnout for you and your team. And so we just really wanted to kind of bring that conversation up. We always try to come up with something, try to think about something that we might have had similar experience with in regards to like how we taking care of ourselves, or maybe with like the business, to say, okay, do we have anything in common that we can bring to the conversation on
100.
Thursday? So when she say like we was talking yesterday, it's like trying to figure out what we're going to bring to y'all in real life, real time today, to spill the tea of what it looks like for us as entrepreneurs, and us maintaining or trying to prioritize our well-being every single day, where you can see we're not perfect at it, and we want y'all
No,
to know that it's not about being perfect. It's
not at
about
all.
making yourself a priority to take care of you. And
We're
so we
we're
hope
literally
that
learning as we go.
all the
Mhm.
way all the way. So that was very,
I think that you made a
very.
good point in regards to maybe next week. And I could
Thank
just
you
put it
all.
in our doc. Thank you, ladies. I think I could put it in a document for next week as well. If we want to talk about future proofing, just like get it down. So next week,
I
and
like it.
next week, you and I can decide, does it align with what, do we still want to talk
I
about that,
mean,
or do you
why
want to?
wouldn't it? Like, we want our businesses to still be here in the future. So I think future proof
Mhm.
is a great thing to talk about for next
And
week.
I think that future proofing includes all the things, including wellness,
Mhm. There's
right?
nothing that doesn't include wellness.
Yeah.
All the dimensions align with wellness.
I'm gonna just copy
Mhm.
this and just put it in our document from right
That's
now.
why it's a wellness live series and not a health series. Yeah, I'm with it. So y'all, if y'all down with future proof, drop future in the comments. Shireen's about to get the cards out to check us on out of here. Y'all, it has been amazing talk. If you are in looking at the show notes, you might be on my YouTube. I dropped some extra special links for you all to support you on your journey. So definitely check out the value in the show notes. All right. Future proofing your business can be a paid webinar. Okay. we might just set it up like that.
Hold on, let me just drop that Eventbrite for you, Ashu. Hold on.
I'm with it. I like it. It might just be an episode we might need to clip up and put out there for the short form to bring some people here for the
It's so
long
good.
conversation. Y'all, we really appreciate y'all pulling up and being a part of our community each and every Thursday. And know that it's not just us, it's all of us, like not just Shireen and Giovanni, but it's all of us that show up, tap in, and vibe with us. So we really appreciate whether y'all come every Thursday, every other Thursday, when you can catch us, even when you catch the replay. Just let us know that you're here, because it definitely helps us keep going and showing up, being visible and being vocal, and hoping to provide y'all with some good value and vibes. What you got, Shireen?
It's still rolling. But thank you. I'm gonna say my 2 cents, but also like thank you. I agree with Giovanni. Like the fact that you come back and just hang with us and engage, like you're out here letting us know um what how it impacts you as well, right? Or weighing in on the conversation. It's really dope that you guys do that. It's really, really dope. And it's cool. It's cool that you show up, that you want to be here with us, that Ashu's here like every week, like almost every week, right? And we just thank you for seeing the value in the conversation, but just honestly, with just chilling with us. Like I don't know, we didn't really have expectations when we started, and it's been over a year. And sometimes I will tell you, I do not feel like doing this. I do not feel like it. I'm tired or I'm not feeling well. But the conversations when we get on here, even the days that I'm like, oh, this is going to be a quick one, then we don't shut up. And by we, I say me. So like it is, and it's cool. Like it's cool. And I just love the good energy that comes off of these conversations. So yeah, that's really dope. All right. I don't know. I'm gonna just take the top one.
Sounds good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So it says notes, but this one is so good. Deep breaths are like little notes to your body. And the reason I am loving this right now is because I keep saying it. I am doing so much somatic breathing lately, and it is calming my nervous system. Calming my nervous system. I mean, like that nervous system when you either get bad news or you see something maybe on social media, and you can, for me, I could feel it in my back, I could feel it in my belly, I could feel it in my chest, I could feel it. Then you start overthinking and all the things. But there is so much power in that somatic breathing, that when I do see something, I feel like I have more control over my body, and I know I can calm things down. And I honestly feel it's one of the reasons, because I've been doing it for weeks now. It's one of the reasons why I did take the last 5 days and just chill, because it led me up to, oh no, homie, you are gonna relax this weekend. I don't know the last time I slept in, and I slept in day after day. And then I woke up and bought all those groceries and came back in the house and made all that juice and have been eating them celery and eating my probiotics, my prebiotics, my fruit. Like the next thing is I'm dreaming about the gym. So the next thing is to get me there. Right. So, but it started with these deep breaths. So, yes, deep breaths are like little love notes to your body. Oh, wait, I didn't even tell you about the stretching. The
So I was
stretch,
going to tell you about that, but you go ahead and go to number 2. Go
the
ahead and testify.
stretching. The stretching
Testify.
I have been doing this week. And I mean, Giovanni and I've talked about that. We both used to dance like many, many moons ago. And I feel like I was so flexible. And I kept thinking, oh, my hips, because I sit all day long. It's not my hips, it's my back. Thankfully, it's not my hips. Hello. It's my back. I was doing one stretch, girl. Giovanni, I was on the floor and then I was telling my daughter, I'm like, oh, I was stretching and I was doing this one, and it's kind of like downward dog, but it wasn't downward dog. And I lifted up and I was like, oh God. And she was like, send me the video. I got to see this.
So when you were talking about
When
that,
you're
that was
stretching.
another win that I was thinking about that I didn't remember on the spot for the wellness win. But I'm glad that you mentioned stretching, and you talked about our notes were like deep breaths are like little notes to our body.
Yeah.
I got a massage
Ooh.
last weekend, and that massage was everything. And that's when you talked about the deep breathing, but also with massages, you have to be intentional about relaxing. Like you can't be tense in a massage the entire time. And so I think that it's a very intentional time to relax, knowing you're not relaxing, taking in those deep breaths. But I absolutely love, that was one of the parts that I loved about my massage was the stretching, like some of the stretches that my masseuse was doing. And it was just like, ooh, I like this assisted stretching. Like this is a vibe. I would like to get into this a little bit more. And it was just like, okay, you're thinking about other ways to move besides just walking. And I was just like, that is beneficial to the body. And so I really love that. And so I wanted to say that because there was breathing in it, there was stretching in it, but most importantly, it's learning how to relax, and your body needs rest too. And so when you're always on the go, and you don't even take the moments to deep breathe, the tension in your body stores up and it causes pain, it causes disruption, it causes dysfunction. But most importantly, it doesn't allow you to show up as your best self. And you don't deserve that. So make sure that you're making the time, even if it is just to breathe. If you could get the rest, get the rest. Like you want to show up the best self that you can. And you can't do that when you're irritable, when you're tired, when you're tense. It's just not going to allow you to do the things that you need to do. So keep that in mind as well in regards to, having those boundaries. Don't prioritize everything else and everyone else that you can't take care of you in some of the most simple ways. All right. Well, Shereen, you got anything you want to let them know?
No, just like take care of yourself. Like I feel like we said so much great stuff today. So just take care of yourself. Figure out, even if that boundary is, how am I going to take some time to take care of myself? Even if you have 10 million things to do, first of all, prioritize maybe 3 or 1, and then step back. Yeah, or 1 or none, and just prioritize yourself for that day, and just take care of yourself, because that's where the dis-ease starts, right? That's where the disease, which is a disease, is when your body's all stressed out. That's where it really starts. So take care of yourself.
Do it when it's a choice and not by force. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to say initially. When you have the choice to take care of yourself and do things a little differently, do it then until you're forced and you can't not say it. Like you want to make sure you're showing up for your body and for your well-being by choice. Because when it's forced, it's not as nice, fun, enjoyable.
It's not as pleasant.
Not at all.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We love y'all. We thank you. But most importantly, thanks for vibing with us, y'all. Bye. See you next